RealtyNXT presents Let's Talk Business series, where we talk about different verticals of real estate with industry experts to deep dive into the current trend and explore future possibilities. This series is sponsored by Totality. Totality keeps you hooked with all progress updates around your sales and marketing, providing 100% automation to realtors. Thank you, Mr. Juggy, for joining us today on RealtyNXT Let's Talk Business series.
You're welcome, and it's always a pleasure.
So 2020 witnessed the dawn of new era where commercial spaces became the center of discussion. There has been a good amount of uncertainty around it. But for a group which has a great market share in the space, what's your take on the future and how are you going to prepare for the same with regards to your portfolio for the future developments?
Kritika, honestly, I think yes, the pandemic has changed the whole dimension of real estate. While on one side the residential is done exceedingly well,
Yeah.
And commercial has been stable, if not to say, if I don't want to sound negative, it's been stable. The two asset classes in real estate which have really really affected the most is actually retail and hospitality. But having said that, I think office is a stable scenario only because 2019 was a record year of sorts where we leased about 49-50 million square feet of space for the first time in India. We've never seen that kind of gross leasing across the country ever since we started commercial real estate as a dedicated office asset class in real estate. And so what it did was that we had a very large offtake of space and a very low vacancy rate, which brought us to 2020 first quarter, and the momentum still continued. Till 24th of March, there was sizable inquiries, but given the time of the year, typically in office real estate, deals happen anywhere between second and third quarter, typically. And post 24th March, everything came to a standstill. The world changed. We went into a sublime mode. Lockdown happened across the world, international travel, embargoes, all of that. So not many companies could actually fathom what was hitting them. And it was status quo for many of the large clients. And only in the third quarter of last year, which is August, September, October, we actually started seeing September, October, November onwards, we actually started seeing clients either exercising spaces to keep their noses ahead of the wagon wheel to ensure that they don't have a problem where when the business actually starts coming in a V-shaped recovery in the economy, global economy hits, they are out of space. So I think people who realize and companies who realize that they are in this business for a long haul, knowing fully well that the technology world is booming, they did not want a scenario where they give up spaces. Yes, a sizable amount of vacancy levels did come up in certain of the office segment, which specifically with regard to the SSMEs and the SMEs, of the startups, Indian small companies, all of that. But the global investment corporations, the banking financial sector, the tech sector, continued to pay rents on time, and we don't have any issue with regard to that. And that primarily shows the robustness of the story, the India growth story of the IT industries. So from that perspective, I think the principles are pretty strong, robust, and more importantly, India has continued to grow. And the fact that we have now overcome the pandemic in such a positive manner, while the whole world is still understanding and grappling with what's happening with COVID, we're actually moving and coming back to offices. And that's a significant positive direction, even though many offices are still working on 10-20%, and employees don't seem to understand the importance of coming and physically collaborating in a space. But yes, the world has changed. Developers have changed. They have to change the offering. The design quality aspects of spaces will undergo immense transformation. Social distancing is a word that will remain in office buildings for the rest of their lives. Ratification of or rejigging of office spaces to ensure that people utilize the space that they actually need rather than want to hold will happen. So, and things like everything with regard to, vertical transportation, destination control elevators, free, better quality of air handling units being sending fresh air changes much more than they've ever used to do. So those are the things that will keep on changing, and I think that's a good transformation that we are going through. On the real side of things, whether there'll be a blip in the office demand, I would say in the short term, yes, there will be some definite contraction in demand. But the long haul story of Indian real estate, especially the commercial real estate, is very robust, very intact, very solid, and that only further strengthens the belief that the entire outsourcing business that came to India initially to leverage cost has transformed from leveraging cost to leveraging of great talent at that cost. So
Right.
that story continues.
So, in one of the interviews, you recently had mentioned the renewed focus on asset management and usage of technology to create Prestige 2.0. So, could you elaborate more on same and how technology can really help you achieve this new vision?
So, it's not something that we have to do by choice, but in our vision, if you want to be the best, there's no other option but to move to a world where uh, we hotelize our assets. And when I say hotelize the assets, the experience that a tenant gets from occupying a prestige building should be, from the time you enter a hotel, the same experience. Be it customer service, single point of contact, be it the way asset is managed with regard to software as a service or technology platform, uh, from visitor park management to engagement of tenancies, value added services that we can add to the tenant. All of that will be a given in the future. You cannot not be there in the game, because keep in mind that we are not competing with, it's not a developer play anymore. It's international developers at play now.
Right.
It's the people who manage the best and the billions and dollars of asset, capital value of asset that they manage all across the world are actually going to be competing with us. So if you don't up the game, we're going to be left behind. And I think it's not only for us, it's for every commercial developer who's serious about this game. Already fragmentation uh, uh, or consolidation on the other side is actually happening in the real estate space. You'll be left with about 5 or 10 developers in every city, which are going to be called serious players in the office real estate. And we definitely want to be one of them.
So, what's the current update on your REIT IPO? Matlab, what has been the learning out of observing, REIT IPO by Embassy, Blackstone, or Mindspace Business Park, or recently the Brookfield?
So that's typically an exit that everybody looks at. And from our perspective, we chose another different route to go for an exit, and we are right now in the final stages of a transaction. So I'll reserve my comments on that. But it's helping us reset our debt structure. It's going to get us more nimble, and it's going to get us much more aggressive in a market that we will come back very strongly with newer and brand new assets which are future proof, if I may use the right word.
So, why mutual funds investment in REIT we have noticed and seen that jumped six-folds between 2019 and 20. But then Godrej and DLF too are gearing up for the same. Do you think the timing is apt? What is your opinion on this?
I didn't get your question. For timing is apt for?
So mutual fund investment, we have noticed it has jumped folds, right? So now we are noticing DLF and Godrej also gearing up for the same.
An office REIT.
So do you think the timing is apt?
So I think the Indian investor needs various asset classes to invest, and I think office REITs, given the success of the first two REITs that we saw, it just gives you so much more confidence in commercial real estate that people are doing the right things with regard to transparency, compliance, managing of the business park, managing of an environment that is much more conducive to global clients who call their business parks their homes. And that's where that's where the confidence in commercial real estate lies today, because we are in the midst of a liquidity crisis, if I may use the right word. Banks are not lending so easily, and definitely varied forms of equity infusion or money into building this engine is definitely needed. So I think, and with the retail, with the REITs that are initially now launched, I think it's the base is broadening, the players are increasing, and much more confidence boosting measures that the government has supported the REIT. So I think all sounds very good, and I think more and more players will come into the REIT, and I think sooner than later, maybe when we start rebuilding Prestige 2.0, that should be also a automatic choice for us to ensure that we are ahead of the pack.
So the recent news, the announcement of the partnership with Office co-working space, what was the idea behind getting into co-working? Because till now Prestige has never entered into this particular sector. So what made Prestige to make this decision on entry of the co-working sector?
So just to get the record straight, we are not entering the co-working space.
Okay.
It is a partnership, it's a preferred partnership between Prestige and Office, where we are actually bringing our space as equity into the partnership, and they are bringing the expertise to run these centers. And it's actually a lease arrangement. It's a simple lease arrangement with a revenue share, whichever is higher in terms of operationalization or operationalizing of the asset. Once these assets are operationalized, it'll be almost like a landlord-tenant relationship. However, the only thing is we are putting skin in the game, because these are difficult times, and we do believe that Office has the wherewithal to operationalize these assets to an optimum level so as to broaden our base of tenancy.
So yesterday, like how we were discussing, the Proptech has been gaining a lot of momentum in India, especially post-COVID. So what do you think are the need gap the future tech entrepreneurs can solve, helping big business like yours, like add more automation in your offerings, operation or services?
So first of all, on the lease management side, MIS, lease management, the ERP tools that we all want to invest time and effort in, it's a given. Most developers who are serious in this business already have a very robust ERP module that helps them track leases, track renewals of leases, track payments, track rent collection. That's one of them. The second part is the asset management side, which is also very important because that's more experiential. Because clients now no longer a Goldman Sachs or a Fidelity or a Microsoft or a Google, the corporate real estate is our client. Our client is actually their employees. And that transformation is what we're trying to go through. So every employee that walks into a Prestige office park is actually the end user experience is what is very critical from our perspective. And that's where we are trying to fill the gap.
So this is on the personal note. I want to know, you have been previously, been associated with JLL and WeWork. Could you tell our audience two biggest learnings that you have had with your stint as Executive Managing Director of JLL and then CEO at WeWork India Operations?
So I always like to do different things, and but JLL has been a very enriching experience because it's a great firm. It's a firm that believes in the value system is very intact, and more importantly, it's a level playing field for anybody who has hunger to become a smart broker, who wants to go and conquer the world of real estate. I think JLL is a great platform. In fact, I would call it the IIM of Indian real estate. If anybody wants real estate, you should try your hand in any of these firms. JLL is a leading firm in that. There's no doubt about it. From a WeWork experience, I would say it was a much more challenging assignment, for the simple reason working with youngsters who are half your age, want instant gratification, and that is that is something I learned, that after 6 months, somebody comes and walks into the WeWork and says, "Sir, I've completed 6 months. Can you give me a promotion now? What next for me?" So, working with the Gen Next, or, Gen X, or, the millennials, it was a great experience because they come with ideas that you never ever imagined that you can actually implement those ideas. But it was a great ride for me to open those first few centers that I was entrusted to run. But on the other side of it, I think I was too conservative for a WeWork to fit in with my jackets and my cuffs. They were much more a t-shirt and a short brand.
So who do you admire most in Indian real estate? Like if you have to name three people, and let our audience also know why.
That's a tough one. First, of course, the first name would be Irfan Razak. There's no doubt about it. He's been a friend, a mentor, a guide, a visionary, and more importantly, a father figure to the entire real estate fraternity. Nobody manages relationships better than him. For him, relationships count over money, and that's the basic ethos of Prestige Group. And I think I take pride in that. The second most, I would say, who I admire a lot is, again, a very dear friend, Jitu Virwani. I love his guts in business. I love his intuitiveness in business. And more importantly, I love his the way he manages work-life balances, how he manages work-life balance. So I think I learned a lot from Jitu. Third, I would say the person who taught me a lot in real estate and who really actually handheld me through this process was my first boss in real estate, Manoj Benda, RMZ. So I had the pleasure of working with him for 12, 13 years. I really learned a lot from him. And he's the guy who saw that an average hotelier could actually become a real estate professional. So I think these three people have made a meaningful and a very unending kind of a contribution to my life. And I would say all three of them have their own styles of working, very distinct styles. And each one of them has been very successful in what they've done.
So again, on a personal note, I want to know how you keep yourself evolved with the information or with the new technology coming in, especially in real estate.
So I read a lot. And I love technology myself. If anybody knows me personally, they know my love for technology, at least the gadgets I use to make my life simpler. I'm an out and out Apple man. And for me, everything is in the ecosystem of Apple. And whoever works with me works best when they have an Apple machine. But having said that, the use of technology in our real estate world, be it from the construction cycle, be it from asset management, be it from building management systems, be it from the entire comprehensive life cycle of asset delivery, I think we are still not there. And we really need to do a lot. India has progressed so much in terms of this intuitiveness of calling a samosa or a biryani on a phone. I think one day we should really be able to use the entire life cycle of the experiential real estate customer handling through technology without even interacting. But that is slightly tough because after all, we are a brick and mortar industry. So it's the amalgamation of technology to real life is going to be a challenge. But that's what's evolution. But during this COVID time, we've realized one thing, that we're not traveling. So we're doing, that's why we can do these meetings so easily, because but sometimes a travel, if you're not an avid traveler, you're not an avid learner. So travel teaches you a lot, especially for a sales guy like me. My biggest deals and my biggest networking happens on flights and airports. So I miss that a lot. Because impromptu conversations are very lasting impressions on people's mind.
Agree. So being a technology geek, if I may so, what would be your advice to the new upcoming Proptech entrepreneurs who are trying to enter into this domain?
I think for the people who are writing their business plans, the business plan should be first, there has to be a problem for which they come with a solution. That's very, very important in any app. That's number one. Number two, I would say it should be monetizable from their perspective, because it's not monetizable, they will not put enough energy to develop the best.
Yeah.
And third, it should be scalable. So if you have a right idea and you have the ability to scale it up and then monetize it, I think any tech geek can actually enter the real estate industry and understand how to resolve a lot of the problems that plague our industry today.
So when you were part of JLL, as I also witnessed the JLL Proptech accelerator program that they had started, will we be seeing anything like that in Prestige maybe later?
Yeah, honestly, if you don't do it, if a firm like ours doesn't invest in this, I think it's our loss right now. And I think I can tell you one thing, that Prestige was one of the first companies who actually adopted the ERP model way back when nobody had actually heard and about the ERP system and all of that. So the entire process in terms of procurement, projects, planning, finance, everything model is, we have a very robust ERP system that we work on, the SAP system, and all of that is actually integrated to our larger base. What we really need to do right now is to enhance the customer side of the business into this, integrate the entire model of the customer. In fact, just now I was talking to a colleague of mine who we are talking about the same thing, of to how to transform this entire experience of lease management and lease and customer care and tenant care into a technology tool.
So last, because I know you are in a hurry, so how would you summarize your last year? If you have to share, 5 set of numbers which can give us an idea about the milestone Prestige Group managed to hit in a troubled year. It can be any 5 numbers, be the project of launches or the new upcoming projects, employees, anything.
So first things first, I think in the last 34 years, and today we had a board meeting, the kind of numbers we've never done in the last 34 years, in the last 3 months. So last quarter has been the most fabulous quarter for us. And it's only because of the resilience that our company and organization has shown. Resilience in terms of coming back to work. We are 100% from the day lockdown was lifted. Yes, we've had, unfortunately, we've had losses of 1 or 2 of our colleagues who fought and we lost them. We've also had many such cases where outsiders came in and they left us with the infection. But I think the resilience of the firm through these troubled times is backed by a vision, and the vision is to ensure that lage raho sab log and keep continuing to work, because the focus is to get the economy moving. And more importantly, our own projects that we are building. Just to let you know, almost about 7 million square feet of projects are getting launched in the next 3 months. We're launching new cities, both in residential as well as in office. And even after the transaction that we're talking to Blackstone, we will have a very substantial quantity of asset classes in terms of real estate that will be pouring concrete on in the next couple of years going forward. Prestige Office Ventures alone would be contributing about 40-45 million more square feet of space across 5 or 6 cities that we'll be building. So it's all in all, we look at the next couple of years as very exciting, and it's going to be transformational, and more importantly, very engaging with our customers, because the business model is evolving so rapidly that today nobody thought that you would need a work from home kind of a place in every home today. And it's become instead of a puja room today, you have a work from home kind of a area. So I think things are transforming very rapidly. And I think if you don't adapt this change, I think all will be left behind.
Thank you so much, Juggy, for joining us today on RealtyNXT. It was lovely having you here today and learn more about technology. And I look forward more discussion on this, especially on the PropTech front from you.
Sure. Thank you, Kritika. It's been a pleasure.